Hey, I'm Morgan, and today we're going to be going over the Mass Effect 2023 N7-day trailer. We're going to be looking at every frame, figuring out all the little teases and all of the little hints to what may be coming in the next game. I'm also going to be talking about everything around the game, some statements from some journalists who may have some inside information, as well as other things that have been noticed, even connected to the 2022 N7-day. The first thing that happened was we had the N7-day blog, and in that, people discovered a binary code. And when they translated it, it had the word epsilon. So people figured out if you went to the Mass Effect website, added epsilon to the end of the address, a countdown came. It was for about 30 minutes, I believe. And what happened was a little 5-second snippet of this trailer came out. Then there was another code for the next 5 seconds of the trailer, an hour later, and then 2 hours after that, they released the last segment and the full trailer. So we're going to break that down today. First, I'm just going to play it all the way through so you can see it, and then I'll come up on the screen and we'll go through the whole thing and talk about some other stuff around that we've been finding as well. So here we go. Okay, so there's the trailer. So if you haven't seen it yet, there it was. Now I'm going to replay through it and stop it, and we'll do some closer investigation here, and I'll point out some things that I've noticed, I've seen other people notice, and give some info around that. So the first 5 seconds or so of the trailer here that they showed were just these feet just a walking. It was just that part right there. And the notable thing that people were pointing out is here you can see that we've got like a red trimmed jacket or coat of some type, or armor, we find out later on, with these boots that have this red and white coloring on them. Obviously the first thing that at least I know I did, and I think a lot of other people did, was immediately jump to, oh, that looks like N7 stuff. That sure looks like it's at least the N7 coloring. The other bit that people noticed here was these containers in the background. I still can't put my finger on it, but I swear I've seen this as like a static set dressing or level dressing, and it might have been Andromeda, but maybe in the OG games as well. I'll have to go back and play and see if I notice them then. But you know, we've got some of that. And honestly, the thing that people noticed that I completely missed is back here in the top left above my camera. I'll hide myself here for a moment. You see this curve right here, and there appears to be a Krogan here, like kind of staring out. What I think it looks like a window. I think this trailer takes place on some kind of on a planet, and we're inside the building, and this individual is walking down the hallway to exit the facility. And if you kind of go back and pay attention to that very closely, you can even see them. It looks like they kind of turn, and so it was a discovery. I believe Mr. Holton in his chat noticed first, but I'm sure other people noticed it as well. So we had that, and we had the shoes, and that's all we had for the first little segment they released. Then an hour later, they introduced about here, and it stops about there. So obviously this got people even more hyped, right? Because what we have is we see here, we see more that it's kind of that. We see more of that, the red trim there. We can see here, we see like the knee pads and the armor and stuff that is indicative of, you know, some of the characters we've seen before. And then obviously we have this moment here where we see the white and red stripes. This is pretty much undeniable at this point that this is an N7 ranked soldier in the Alliance Army. You know, the one that's most notable and that we are the most familiar with would be Commander Shepard. This here, especially as the video goes on, appears to be the FemShep, or at least a female figure in this armor and this coat. And yeah, that's really exciting. Now, as they go by, we see here it happens pretty quickly. You see this, which is actually pretty similar to the back of the N7 armor from the trilogy. This is a kind of this armor pattern on the back, and then we also have, as it goes forward, we see the kind of iconic status lights or whatever they're supposed to be, that was always on the back of Mass Effect armor sets. And it looks super cool. And so this is where the second part of the trailer cut off, and then the final part of the trailer was the rest of this here. And we see multiple things here. So we see the figure's face. Everybody, including myself, was like really hoping that this was going to be not a helmeted head and that this was going to be a character's face. We were obviously all hoping this was going to be Shepard, or at least most people. But what we see is this kind of unique and new style helmet, along with this kind of pop-collared, almost cyberpunk type of armor / coat. We do see the N7 logo right there. There's absolutely zero denying that. And something you actually see here before they turn around is, let me see if I can get it, that there's an N7 on the back of the coat as well. So the N7, even in this time, are not making their presence shy or anything. And then we see this. So we see this. I know people talking about how like futuristic and different this looks. This is within the similar styling of Mass Effect that I've seen. One of the interesting replies that Mike Gamble had yesterday was replying to someone who said like, oh, this looks like it's getting away from the OG like Mass Effect kind of aesthetic. And Mike Gamble pointing out that, well, the art director is the same one that's been on that was on the trilogy as well. So you know, giving some at least credence to like, it's going to be different, but it's still grounded in the same aesthetic, and so, you know, that gives at least some people, it relaxes some people. So here the person reaches in, pulls out a pistol. In the poster they released after of this character, you see the pistol a lot better. It does not appear to be the same kind of gun that we use in any of the previous games, lending some credence to the potential that this game may be taking place at a very different time frame than the original game or the original trilogy. But one thing to note here, the sound, I'll turn it back up. I believe it was Kala, another Mass Effect creator, who pointed out that sound is the same sound for the main pistol from the first Mass Effect. So this very well may be a evolution of some of the older weapons that we've used, or maybe it's a new weapon. It all comes down to time frames, and we don't really know when this game is going to take place. It seems insinuated that maybe it's taking place very far in the future. It also seems possible that maybe that's a red herring and it takes place in a timeline closer to the trilogy. We have no idea, and I suspect we're not supposed to know yet. As the figure walks away, we see that we have the lights on the helmet as well, another iconic thing for the Mass Effect franchise. And then they walk towards what appears to be this kind of door or opening. You see wind blowing. If I go back a little bit, you can see that it's like a wind-swept area. You see the dust clouds and stuff coming across. Another thing you can notice, if you look at more and more, is that it appears this right here is a ship outside waiting. It's kind of hard to see in a still image, but if you watch the motion down here, it appears that there's a ramp. So like a loading, offloading ramp for this ship. There have been people who have been looking like these other shadows, trying to predict what they are. I've seen someone go so far as to say that, oh, that right there looks like the Tempest. It's like, okay, guys, calm down. Like, we can't discern anything. I think the only thing we can really determine here is that it does look like there's a ramp out here, and this is a ship that this figure is going to. And then the trailer ends with the classic Mass Effect branding. Notably, does not have the "will continue" branding that the trailers have had in the other bits of teasers and stuff they've given us before have had. And that's kind of the gist of it. A lot of people are kind of wondering like what the whole idea of this character is. Like, obviously there's people who are hoping this is Shepard, hoping that we're getting a return of F Shep and male Shep. I'm less and less inclined to believe that as we get more and more clues that maybe this game's taking place long after the trilogy. One thing that I've noticed is a lot of people talking, and I don't entirely disagree, of the idea that this character seems much more like almost like a secret agent, and less of like a super soldier, like the N7s in the original trilogy, and even what they're portrayed as in Andromeda. And that seems fair. Something that someone pointed out, that the 2022 trailer, when they released that little kind of motion graphic with Liara's encrypted voice that people had to figure out, after people did break that encryption and figured it out, the official Mass Effect Twitter account posted like, hey, good job, you guys figured this out. Here's a better version of it so you all can hear the actual audio. But in that tweet, they referred to the community and the players as agents. Now, I remember noticing that kind of offhandedly, but never thinking too much of it. But now that we see this character, whoever it is, whether it's the protagonist or not, who's definitely putting off like an agent or operator vibe, maybe we're looking at the N7 is less of these ultimate super soldiers like they were in the trilogy era, and maybe in this whatever era we're in, they've become more 007 style operators or agents. The official account calling us agents last year, I think certainly lends some credit to that. And one thing I will point out is that I believe in the poster that they put out, that gun, that pistol that they hold, has like a silencer looking thing on it, where in this I don't think it may be there. Regardless, that's the trailer. So there's been a lot of people who seem like they're let down, and I've seen a lot of mixed emotions about all of this stuff. I think this was a fine trailer in general, but I do have some kind of other thoughts about this whole thing in general. So I just kind of want to address that. I think the teases we got on N7 Day 2023 are kind of insinuating that the game may be going a direction that some people didn't want. Admittedly, I had my own very specific idea of what I wanted from the next game. I wanted it to take place shortly after Mass Effect 3, and we'd kind of get to see the rebuilding of the Milky Way and the after effects of the Reaper War, and we'd get another go with Shepard and see a bunch of the original crew and what they were up to, and I think it's fair to start assuming that that's probably not going to happen. Could be wrong. A bunch of this stuff could be red herrings, and maybe they're just messing with us. Maybe this does take place in a time frame that is reasonably within the trilogy, but it really seems like they are, at least so far, hinting pretty heavily that that's not going to be the case. I don't see the point of getting really upset about that, or even like getting so into it so far, because things could change, or maybe we just don't understand the full story so far. We obviously don't. We literally barely know anything, and we don't know basically anything at all. And so my advice is to have an open mind. If this is like a light reboot of the series, just go with the flow. It probably needs it, especially for a new generation of players, and to maybe get past some of the skeletons that have kind of dogged the franchise in the past. If they do make a big time jump or go to a new era, maybe that's a good thing in the long run, even though we will miss our old original trilogy friends, right? Or maybe there's something more complicated here. Maybe we do play in that timeline and another timeline or something. I don't want to get into that speculation on this video. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. So I thought this was a fun N7 Day. There's still teases. Apparently there's things we're still missing, according to Mike Gamble, and we'll just have to hope if any, see if anyone figures those things out, and hope that people do, so we have more to talk about. And that's kind of what I have for this. So I hope you like this little breakdown. I have a breakdown of the poster and of the whole N7 day in general on this channel as well, so please go check those out. And I have a bunch of kind of hypotheticals and speculation, as well as some podcasts and things like that I want to do, just kind of going on about this whole thing in a less time limited manner. So if you want access to all those things, or to be alerted when those happen, please subscribe to this channel. I'll be covering Mass Effect as well as other gaming news and stuff like that. I would love if you like the video, hit the like button, and comment down below with your own theories, your own thoughts, or to just say hello. I am Bon Diesel all over the place, including over on Twitch, where I multi-stream there, and here on YouTube a couple times a month. So be sure to check in, and you can talk live, and we can, do all this theorizing in person. And I also have 2 podcasts. I have The Bonfire, which is a weekly gaming news podcast, and the Mass Effect Hypecast, which is like a monthly-ish show where I'll be doing speculation, news coverage, and even having guests. And I'm obviously doing an episode here really soon to talk about N7 Day, both the details and kind of my thoughts and opinions on it. You can find both of those podcasts on all podcast platforms and right here on YouTube. That's all I have for this one, so until next time.